Welcome to this hour of Cyberpower of Tigray. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be joining us from. My name is Halima Taddessa. I am so honored to be joining you today with our sister, healer, educator, coach, Miss Mehret Asgedom. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I am so glad to be with you. Thank you, Helena.
Thank you. Thank you for gracing us with your time and your energy. I could not be any more excited to, I guess I can say, share you with our greater community. And today's conversation is aptly named a conversation on where we are and where to draw strength to continue. We have not seen each other, dear viewers, for a couple of weeks now. And just to stay in integrity with you, I have to say, while I am honored, and really it is a pleasure for me to bring this hour of mental health and wellness to you and to me and to my family and yours and our greater diaspora, and also our family abroad who are seeing us in this hour within Ethiopia, who are most definitely being persecuted and ethnically targeted, as well as within Tigray, the very few parts, specifically possibly Mekelle, that may have access to our program. Um, I had to really be honest with myself when the images and the videos really started to come out. I wanted to be here with you. I wanted to provide this service for however many people may be watching it. And at the same time, I didn't feel, again, the word integrity continues to come up for me, that I would be within integrity and being honest if I was completely broken down and having a breakdown, which I did, and sitting on this platform and trying to show, you know, differently. So I needed personally to get into a space where I was able to share. And rightfully, I think you know that I'm as honest as I can be. I'm pretty much an open book. It's never served me any better than during this crisis. But during this time, I really needed to pull it together. And I am here as transparent as always, wanting to, I mentioned to Mehret, I would like to be you by proxy, whatever it is. And I think collectively we're going through pretty much the same things, different levels. So I'm here, and I pray very much so that you've made it to the other side with me, whatever the other side looks like. Right now, a lot of us are coping, and this hour is dedicated to bringing more ideas of how to cope, and even as strange as it may seem, possibly thrive as we're advocating, as we're getting these very hard calls from back home whenever the lights are on, as we, and I know collectively to thrive at this point means to be able to be of help to our communities, to be able to go through our day-to-day and things of that nature. So thank you for your patience, and I pray you are well as well. So having said that, Mehret, I would love for you to introduce yourself, whatever it is that you'd like to share, and we'll continue from there.
Well, Helena, I just want to start off by saying I absolutely, I resonate with what you're saying. It's not because we have it all together that we're here, but just like our brothers and sisters have to keep going, we have to keep going. We have to press forward. And so I'm just grateful for being able to do that together, that it's a learning curve for all of us. Everyone is shocked. Everyone is hurting. No one expected this. No one saw this happening in this way. And but we have to be light in this darkness. We are called to be light in this really, really dark time. And so just really grateful for the integrity and just the heart and the passion that serves this platform through your heart. So I'm glad to be with you. I this when you asked me to share about how to deal with these mental images that come when we look at our brothers, our sisters, our mothers, our grandmothers, our family being strewn on the ground. My response to you was that I did not feel like I didn't feel worthy of that conversation because my own story, my story of losing my brother at 13 and seeing my family mourn. Seeing our whole community devastated by the loss of my brother. And the weight and the pain, I knew the way my mind worked and the way my thoughts worked. If I saw and kept bringing the images into my mind, I would not be able to be light in this time. I would be overwhelmed. I wouldn't be able to speak with a sense of coherence for this time, for our people, for the suffering, for the hurting. And so I didn't feel like I could have that conversation. But before I came on, I knew that, I went on your page. I'm so grateful, Helena, for your voice, for your platform, I know it is so hard for you to post and show and share the hardship, but you do it because you love. You do it out of love and out of faith that every post can make a difference. And I told myself, in order to have integrity, I have to come and I have to watch. This is not what we were created for. And to know, a little bit about my background, like we came out of a famine, my family. And I did not know until now it was a forced famine.
Yes. So I'm so so for, now I understand you've watched. Is that right? You watched. So if may I share the conversation, part of the conversation we had the other day? Like you kind of alluded to, you said, I don't know, am I the right person to talk to or with about this, because I'm purposely not watching everything, but everything that's going on. And I thought, you're the perfect person to talk to about this, because that is what we'd like for people. We've seen a couple, and we know it's the same and worse. So we're not saying stop the advocacy. We're saying, if you have to, repost, don't look. The feeling, the anxiety already comes in as you're, even scrolling up to see it. Sometimes we're seeing these images without knowing it, without any preemptive warning. And so when you said you weren't looking at all of it, I thought, yes, that's what we want to push. And now I understand, knowing you are a healer in our community. I'm sure you felt the need to watch it so that you're better versed, and your dedication is amazing. And also, I feel really bad. I feel really bad. Um, and the way. You know, I want to talk about this now since it's fresh, since you've watched it, and you have the background in how our nervous system is taking it in. What is happening for the person who might see it for the first time when you felt yourself going through it? What was that process?
Well, just in general, first of all, the way trauma works, whenever we experience any kind of trauma, it actually stays locked in our bodies. And if there isn't an outlet or an expression for that trauma that is a safe outlet, it actually perpetuates trauma without us knowing. And as those who have experienced so much trauma, um, even before this horrific time in our country's history, we have to know that we are vessels that carry that. We carry the hurt, we carry the wounds, we carry the pain, and we have to have integrity and have to have a sense of direction. Otherwise, we become aimless and we create pain. And so, what needs to happen for us? So, when I watched it today, what it did, when we watch it and there's trauma inside of us that is unresolved, it will perpetuate continual hate. It will perpetuate continual pain. It will perpetuate a continuation of the cycle. If you look at our history as a country, it has been perpetuated time and time again because our people have not had the opportunity to learn how to heal from the wounds that have been just embedded into our us, into our being, suffocating who we are. And so, but the beautiful thing is, if we can come from a place that is not knit in unexpressed trauma, we then too become vessels of healing. So how this works is, it was horrible to watch. And then what I could do watching that video was cry out to those who have never experienced war, who have never experienced pain. Instead of taking those emotions and creating more hate, it allowed me to take more emotions and more expression and create an energy that pulls people who have never experienced it into experiencing it and into wanting to stop, into wanting to end the pain for the people who are hurting. And so that's the difference.
What does that look like because I'm hearing that instead of internalizing and further causing yourself damage that will inevitably be trauma that will be triggered and potentially turned into like a PTSD, where the trigger might continue to take you back to the moment of watching this footage. What does that look like as you were watching it in your home or wherever you might have been?
So, I'll just explain. And you can go on to, I made a Instagram live right after I watched it. You can actually feel what I'm trying to explain right now if you go to that page. So what that looks like is, we are wounded healers. We heal from our wounds. That is how we don't want wounds. We don't want wounds to become healers. That's not the point. The point is, history has happened in such a way that there are many, many, many wounds. And me being able to do what happened on Instagram Live, that is not a moment thing. That was years of trauma being transferred to healing in my life. I have been through all kinds of, I told you about my brother. At 13, that was very, very hard for me because I was raised here. I had never seen Hazen like that in my life. Never. I didn't hear wailing like that. I didn't hear. My mother was on the ground for months. Our house flooded. I had no way to deal with the loss. But once it wasn't until, I had other unresolved trauma. I had childhood sexual abuse that happened to me, repetitive. I had to we go through our pain. We go through the trauma in a cycle that leads to one forgiving. I had to have really serious conversations with God. Very serious. I had to go to counseling. Our people are not big on counseling. We have to go to counseling. I had to go to counseling. I had to lean into my support systems. I had to ask for help. And in this season, and I was very quiet, I didn't talk about my trauma like this, but when I saw my people trapped by Hazen, I felt it. I felt it because I know what it was like to not be able to mourn when you're by Corona, by everything happening, like being misunderstood by friends,
Right.
by family, by loved ones. My father passed away when I was a sophomore in college, and it was 5 days before the war between Eritrea and Ethiopia. Do you know what they call him?
What?
They call him Haile Aburuch. He did not see the agony, the pain ripping into shreds the hearts of people here in the diaspora, ripping into shreds the hearts of those back home. My mother took his body to Eritrea. My grandmother crossed mountains to go be with her. She was sick in Eritrea for months, couldn't go back home to Tigray. So we have to, in order, we cannot be, we have to be to the world what we are inside of us. And if I have bitterness and rage and anger and hate, it doesn't matter how big my smile is on my face. The expressions of actions will be, that bitterness is fossilized.
Right.
That hate is fossilized. I will do things to perpetuate pain. I will not heal. We have to heal. We have to. We cannot let another generation go by. We cannot let 5 years from now another war happen like this.
It's true. And if this trauma is not healed as it's occurring, because it may seem taboo, a lot of times we compartmentalize within our lives. The trauma happens, then it stops. We make it stop somehow. Advocacy, waiting for the international community to do something. And then we start rebuilding, and then we start healing. But it takes such a toll, like you're saying. And a lot of times within these conversations on wellness in times of crisis, because I'm so sure all collectively where we are is where I am, where you are. It's about advocating for our people right now, making sure the world knows the looting, the massacres, the rapes, the murders. And I make sure to say it because a lot of times in the comments, our people, it's hard for us to give ourselves the grace to even allow 1 hour of the day to think about our mental well-being. So even to tune in, a lot of times, I mean, throughout this entire conversation, I would say 85% of the comments through or through Facebook and YouTube is let the people know, let the world know what's going on. Let the world know that we're being, murdered. And I just want to remind us, this conversation is for you. This is for us. We already know. Like, we wouldn't go to the protests and only speak in Tigrinya because we're at the protests to make sure that outside of our community, that non-Tagaru understand what's going on. In this space, this is sacred space for you, for your families, for me, for our healers. This is for our Tigrayan community. So I see you in the comments. We love you. We're with you. We need you to take at least this hour so that it inspires you to continue thinking about your well-being as you continue to advocate, as you, like we say, scream at the top of your lungs, of our collective lungs, to make sure that our families, that Tigray is heard. So I hear you, I see you. This is not just a relaxation hour, this is mandatory. We're not talking about a trip to the spa, although if you can do that, that would be wonderful too. But in order to continue to advocate, we must continue to look after our mental well-being. And that's where, Mehret, what you just said comes in for me. You were able to scream out loud. I think it's so important because otherwise it's internalized, and inside we're screaming, but it's like it is entered within our bones. And then it is birthed, we were saying the other day, to the next generation and the next generation. Be able to physically let it out is so important. I think a lot of times maybe you're in mixed company when you see these videos. Maybe we are at work. Maybe we are in front of our kids. But I believe, and I think you'll agree, giving ourselves time to mourn out loud, because we are, like you said, a culture of outward mourners. We are a culture of people who come together to mourn those who passed within our community. Like Mehret is saying, because of COVID, especially and specifically, we are isolated. A lot of us working from home, a lot of us not working at all. A lot of us quarantined with our children or with our nieces, our nephews, extended family. So you may not be able to do it right then or there, but take a walk and do it. You can't wait until a crisis to divert, to change from how you've grown up, from what you know mourning looks like. I hadn't thought of that like that. I mean, that's such an excellent point. Such an excellent point. Otherwise, there's nothing but to bring it inside, and then it comes out, And then you said something really important, specifically for me here in terms of the advocacy. If you don't process it, then you will put it out in ways of rage, in ways of just everything that hurt puts out into the world, right? And what do you think, some examples of how that looks like? If you don't process it, how does it come out in families? And
let's just do, it's funny. There's a psychologist who wrote this book called The Body Keeps the Score. And if we will pay attention to our body, we hold sadness here. We hold fear in our stomach and in our sternum. When we feel when it gets tight, we might be saying, no, I'm fine, I'm okay. But our spirit is speaking through our bodies, and our spirit is suffocating. And so we need to be in tune. We need to be in tune with who we are, with our being, with our character, and be aligned. And I love what you said, Helena, because the first thing you do is you share. If you have kim in your heart, which we all do, that is poison. So you share it collectively with those who are, we have all over the country right now, there are Zoom meetings dedicated for Tegaru to share their burdens collectively. So what does it look like then if we don't take care of it, right? And that's what you asked. This is a perfect example from someone who shared in our room. She said, I heard an airplane and I thought bombs were falling. I thought I was back in Tigray when this had happened before. Another gentleman said, our mind and our body and our spirit stop communicating. We aren't present. Now imagine what this does to our families. Imagine being present for your child in that state of panic, of fear. This is a higher call. It is not welcome by many, but it is an important call for us to recognize that we have to be present with what is there. And then we have to share that burden. So we don't have to go to, counseling can look a million ways. Okay. You can join the healing sessions, the coping sessions. It's not even healing right now. We're just coping together. I hadn't done my hair. I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't do my hair for 3 weeks. Tatami Muniru.
Okay.
And this morning, I just felt in my heart. I actually felt like God's heart was saying to me, like, Mehret, like, detangle your hair. I didn't do a good job, as you can tell. Right? It's still kind of crazy.
I love you saying that, because it's not even do your hair, it's detangle your hair. I was there 2 weeks ago, because we wake up and you just put it up, and maybe there's the baby, maybe it's with family, maybe it's work and advocacy. But please continue. I just had to, yes, sister.
Yes. Detangle. But do you know what he taught me as I took my time, right? Like, because I can go, right? Because I want to get it done and I want to go, advocate. I want to go help. I want to go do something. Like, I don't feel like I feel guilty for doing my hair. That is the season we're in. I feel guilty for drinking water, for eating food, because my people are starving.
Same.
That is the season we're in. And we need to stop that lie. Because we don't need to be where they are. They need to be where we are. Yeah. And we need to take care of ourselves. And we need to advocate from a place of truth, integrity, strength, humility. Okay?
Proof, integrity, strength,
and humility.
Proof that they will and can, right? Be where we are in terms of
absolutely. This is a miracle that you are there, that I am here. Those faces were our faces.
Right.
And now we have decided never again, not on our watch. But if we don't deal, there are 2 wars. There are 3 wars. There's the internal war. There's the war that is happening with our people suffering and being massacred, and it needs to stop right now.
Yes.
Right? People being, you named a few of those experiences that they're suffering through. Mm-hmm. Right? But then there's a greater war, and we have to keep our eye, because if we don't win the greater war, we will see ourselves in this situation again. And if I have anything to do with it, that will not happen. So this isn't about a spa day. Okay?
Amen.
This is not about a spa day. This is about drink your water, Okay, you were starving too. You came out. Some of you are too young. You don't understand that Michael Jackson sang us out. Okay,
Yeah.
he taught the world. We are the world. We have to align our voices so that people hear us, not just Tegaru, not just the government, but everyone hears us, that we are the world, and that this will not happen again. And it will not happen in Tigray ever again. And it will not happen in the world. It does not have to happen. We were not created to die like this. This is, I love what you said, Helena. On your post, you said, where human beings were born, something like that, where humans were made. When you think of Tigray, think of the richness, the history, the legacy, the covenant with God that Tigray has. Tigray, their love, their kindness, their hospitality, had it written in the Quran. Right? The Prophet Muhammad decreed that there would never be a jihad with the people of Ethiopia because of the kindness of Tegaru.
Right. Correct.
So this is not foo fifi. This is we
written.
fight for the world.
Right.
And the darkness is going down, because I don't want to see my nephews and nieces back home or here go through war again.
Right.
So we fight for our people in Tigray. We fight through in our mind. If we need help, we ask for help. If the hate is too much, we say it. We say, I have too much hate in me. I have too much pain in me. We name it. We name the destructive forces inside of us. Otherwise, they will destroy the ones we love, whether through our hands or through the hands of another. So we have a choice. We have a choice to lean in.
Right.
And I don't mean to be, no,
don't go there. Don't go there. I don't want an apology, or this is, you are who you are, and you're being a voice for many of us and how we feel. So there's no need to, don't mean to, you better mean it. You better mean how you are being.
I mean it 100%.
No, it's perfect.
I don't apologize for what I'm saying.
Not at all.
I do, and here's the thing, when you think about, there are generations, think about the generations, right? I was carried on my mother's back. So while I went through war is trapped in my body. It is, because when people start telling about the 80s and they start talking, I feel it in my body. I feel the desert. I feel the hunger. I remember through my spirit. It is inside of me. Right? And imagine the people who were not babies, who were not carried. Imagine our parents who don't have the language, who don't have the expressions, who are trapped in the pain. And then layer on top of that, 30 years later. And then layer on top of that 20 years later.
Yeah.
And then think of the generations before, 5 wars before. In the generations, embedded in the genetics.
That's right.
We need to be intentional.
That's right. And I think about the people that are going through it right now. We have someone that we know mutually. Do you remember? She said, I'm not even 60 and I've gone through this 3 times. Man-made famine 3 times. Ridiculous. And I think about, oh my goodness, I think about our fellow Tagaro who've made it from Mekelle to Addis, possibly watching us right now. Right now, for you to know that it is you are where you need to be right now. And you may not be completely out of the country, but if you've made it to Addis, then you are exactly where you need to be right now. And we just pray in some way, in whatever fashion that looks like for you, you are taking care of yourself and saying it to whomever there is to listen. If you're having nightmares, if you're having trouble dealing with what you've just left behind, and even the trauma of having been one of the only people to have made it out of there, We want you to know that it's okay not to be okay, that there is nothing wrong because you're not feeling normal or feeling fine. You shouldn't be. And if you are, we're so glad, but also be mindful that our mind plays tricks on us, right? The need to just pretend everything is well. That's how we opened up this conversation, Mehret, why you said, to just put on that smile on the face, because also that's part of our culture. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm here. I'm fine. What do we need to do to take that time? And it is not all right. That should not have been done to you. It should not be going on. Um, and I'm always mindful because word has reached that some people do watch this. As a healer, can you speak to our people who may be watching this who've just come from that, who know that their families are still going through that?
First of all, we just honor and are so thankful to God that you are okay.
Amen.
And we speak off any survivor's guilt. There is no guilt. There is no shame. You did nothing wrong to survive. It is God, a lot of times Helena was talking about those tricks our mind plays on us, like ana what's where we want to give ourselves instead of some, and the circumstances don't allow it. We just want to just speak that off and just say, there's a reason and a purpose, and there's a hope, and we are so grateful. And please just, when we as Tagaro, we want to stop these emotions. We want to fix what we're going through. We want to solve the feelings. We want to be okay with everything, right? We don't even know how to name what we're feeling, but there is power in naming what is inside of us. So I encourage you to share with one another, to share with safe people, to be able to express, I feel this, I am going through this. And as you recognize the name of what you are feeling, whether it's even any feeling, any emotion, there's nothing to be ashamed of, right? As we name them, we lessen the hold or control those emotions and feelings and thoughts have over us. The reason they have power over our bodies, they have power over our impulses, they have power even when we sleep at night. Our body will move and express things that we're not trying to express. The reason why is because these things have remained unnamed inside of us. And so when we try to just push through and just try to make it right, there's a cost. There's a cost to that. So we just encourage you to create safe spaces of healing and hope. Know that we are with you, just like you are there. We are here, and we are advocating for you. There is, I asked God. I was, both my brother and my father were killed by drunk drivers. Separate incidents. And I didn't know. I said, God, is this a joke? Is this like, I don't understand. Right? Like, we go through all these things like, God, like, what is this? We don't understand the story. And I want you to know it's okay to not understand the story. It's okay. Okay. Now, when I look at those stories, I realize that I didn't understand there was going to be so much pain in this world, and that I could share my pain, and that it could help someone's heart feel better, and it could bring an end to sorrow. It can bring an end to suffering. So if you start going through your day and you start thinking, what's wrong with me? I can't think straight. I can't focus. I'm so short with this person or my kids. I can't sleep. Why do I wake up crying? Why do I feel like I'm here, but I'm not here? All of these questions are real. And if we actually say them, if we actually name them, we learn that they're not as powerful as they seem to be. But if we just push through and don't name and stay in that place, where we don't acknowledge what is happening, we become imni, we become rocks, and then we just go through our life. And then when we get triggered, right, when we go through triggers, in that moment of trigger, our trauma acts, not us. It's our trauma reacting. And Helena, you said something so powerful. I'm going to look it up right now. But you, the way you worded it, just...
While you look that up, I just want to remind, and we talk about triggers, and for anyone who might be new to our viewers, remember triggers we've named as something that our body, first the trauma, like Mehret said, our bodies hold on to this trauma. Something horrific happens, or something jarring, something outside of your norm that frightens you, scares you, that jolts you, and then your body, it enters your body through all, all sensory ways. So it could be a smell, a phrase, a sound, and then later on, if that trauma is not processed, you don't deal with it. Like Mehret is saying, you don't tell someone how it's affected you. When we don't deal with it, someday you're doing something menial, and you hear that phrase, or you smell that smell that reminds you of that, and you're triggered, you're reminded of that trauma, and you relive it, which brings us into the PTSD that we've also talked about. So all of these things are correlated, and just the importance of what Mehret's talking about, the need to really process it, to name it, meaning give it a name. Say, I'm not okay. It could be, speaking to family member. It could be, if you have, I know it seems like a luxury, but it's a necessity to speak with a counselor, a therapist, whatever it may be. We think about psychiatry and we think about medication and things like that, but a lot of it is because we, not only as a community, but maybe just individually, aren't comfortable talking about things, and so we don't really seek out, or we're so used to being strong. I'm good, I'm strong. To be vulnerable is not to be weak. Actually, it takes so much more to be vulnerable. So if you found what you were looking for.
I didn't find it, but I remember it, and I have an example. So when I learned, I shared earlier that I was a victim of childhood sexual abuse.
That's right.
Which was what it completely, I think there are very few things in this world that they actually shred your soul.
Totally.
Like the fabric of your soul is shredded. Your relationship with yourself, with humanity, with God, and so the reason why I say that is one of the scariest things in my journey that I learned, and this is what pushed me to heal. I learned that the percentage of people who have been sexually abused actually are ones who then become sexual abusers.
That is right. Statistically, that is right. You're right on.
So think about that. This is exactly what we're talking about. This is exactly what we're saying.
That's it. Yeah.
That person is not functioning from a healed place, and so they act out the trauma. It's trapped inside of them, right? And so when I learned that, I was like, I actually panicked. I panicked, and my panic led me on a journey of years of trying to figure things out and trying to become whole and make sure that I didn't, right? Yeah. And over the years, God has shown me, like, okay, Ajoki, like, relax. Okay, like, you're okay. Like, just that heart to not want to do it is all I need, right? Like, you don't have to, like so but what you're saying is, what you said in that conversation is, when we actually understand the way trauma works, it lifts us up from the person doing the act, and it makes us understand the cyclical nature of trauma. And so if we can interrupt the trauma. We can become interrupters. We can become a generation that says, okay, I'm not going to be the one that perpetuates this. Come hell or high water, I am not going to have. Why? Because we play the movie forward. I thought ahead, and I was like, that is not a story I am going to live into. I will die first. I literally said that. I will die first before that happens.
Right. Before the abused becomes the abuser.
Yeah. And we get trapped in shame. But when you think about it, if it's a dark cycle, because there's no safe place for the person to come out and say, right? Like in our society, like, the girl, when she's been hurt, like, it's really hard for her to share. It's really hard for her to come clean. Or the boy who's been hurt.
Yes.
It's really hard for him to share.
Will he be believed? Will he be estranged? Will he be at fault in someone else's eyes?
And there's nothing worse. There's a greater, worse feeling than actually being hurt in that way, and that is not being believed. That is the greater.
Actually muster up. And I can't imagine you haven't heard how brave you are. Before we continue, I hope you already know how brave you are. And I see that strength within you. And still I need to say how strong you are in sharing, so to make sure that people understand, to make sure that people who might have gone through similar or the same thing feel heard and feel seen through you saying it out loud, through you naming it while speaking on naming it. Thank you so much. That is such a gift. I mean, that's such a gift.
Thank you.
I told you you're gonna take it. You're gonna take awesomeness that I'm throwing your way, because I don't know if you know, because your name is Mehret, and I told you the other day, it literally means, I hope I'm not botching up the translation, but like it means salvation. And then we become our names, and that's our culture, and that's what we believe and what we know. And so we name our children knowing they become their names, and we want them to become great things and to follow in the footsteps of great people named with great names. And so what an honor to be named salvation and to put into this world salvation.
Yeah, so there's a story behind my name. My name was Simret, and then there was a war. Obviously, my mom was very, very sick during the time. My father wasn't there, and then my mom got better. My father came, and my older brother, he said, he was just a year and a half older than me. I don't know how he did this, but he told them, he said, her name needs to be Mehret. And so he renamed me. And I just want to say, if anyone has gone through trauma in this way, and this is how we work through it. There are lots of elephants under the rug. Right now, the biggest elephant is this war that we're advocating against and making sure it doesn't happen. If we want to go fast and far, we do the work on the inside as we advocate, as we move. And I just want to say, I do have resources now. I have research now, like bullet points, like, when this has happened to you, this is what happens to you. And they're going to share that with the women in Tigray, which I would wanted to cry, because to me, if it doesn't mean they're, only God can heal their hearts and heal their journey, but to be able to be a part of the healing process in this destructive time is such a gift. It makes every ache, every pain we've carried, each one of us have carried such a load, such a burden, such a heartache going through this life. No one is spared. Not one person is spared. Some of us have had parents who have mental and mind just inability to just process, and we had to bear and learn how to serve and love our parents, but we've been impacted, and all of us have a burden that we carry. No one comes out unscathed. But if we are going to be able to help our people, help Tigray, help the suffering right now, help us come to wholeness, we have to do the internal and the external journey together. And that's really the invitation today, right? Because it's as we advocate, right? Every meeting after our community coping session, we always talk to our everyone who's there, and we say, what are 2 things you're going to do? Are you going to drink water this week? Are you going to go for a walk this week?
2 things that you're going to commit to doing in terms of care. You okay? Yep. Body's like, speaking of water, give me some. I've got mine right here. 2 things that you commit to within the group who is helping hold you accountable in terms of self-care that will continue to strengthen you to be able to do this work in making sure the world knows what's going on with our families. I love this. So please finish that thought, and then I want to get to a couple of questions within the comments, and then some announcements. And then.
Yeah, so it's really, that's it. You know, for some of us, it's sleep, right? And really, we have to. You know, my mom is not sleeping at all right now. She's not sleeping at all, like all night. She'll just be awake, and so I just try to find ways to just talk about it with her. Just say, Mama, you know, like, I turn on the coping conversations while she won't join it, because she, you know, she kind of has the old school, like she'll listen, but just the listening is healing. So just having her listen in on people sharing what they're feeling, what they're thinking, what they're going through, how they're going to move forward, how they will lean into advocating from a place of strength, from a place of presence, really helps her have hope, right? We're not alone. Okay. When Jesus was born, he was born in the darkest hour. Okay. So this hour is very, very dark, but he is with us. He is risen and he is with us. And many of us are fasting right now. It's the season of Tzom. God will hear, especially if we do the heart journey. If we surrender that heart journey, God is with us. He is hearing, he is listening, he knows. And those who posture and surrender their hearts, not to hate, not to destroy and continue and perpetuate pain, but to say, God, have mercy on my heart, have mercy on our people. And then, you know, he is with us. And so we have him on our side. We have one another. We have our internal dialogue where we are being honest and trying to be present. All of these things. And then we do the water. We do the walks. We limit our intake of social media. We limit our, you know, advocate. Absolutely. Tweet. Yes. Like, speak, share your heart, right? Give wholeheartly, but also know that you are made out of, right? Like we have to go to the bathroom, right? We can't hold that. You know, like there are physical limitations, and we have to honor that too. And so just balance, I guess is what I would say.
No, right on. To your point specifically, the difference between advocacy and then also trolling the other side's movement. Right now, we're noticing that they are coming out and protesting. It makes absolutely no sense. It makes no sense. It makes no sense, because what are you advocating, right? You're advocating more massacres. Are you advocating for aid not to come to innocent lives? It makes no sense. But that's part of what we're seeing. It doesn't make sense, but to focus on what we're doing, not to extend our social media time by looking what they're doing, what they're seeing, how they're showing up, because like you're saying, it muddles the waters. It dilutes our purity in advocating. And I know part of why we're being heard right now, because there's horrific footage coming out, but also, thank God it's coming out somehow, because now, as we know, Secretary Blinken has said, America condemns what's going on there.
we're getting so much closer, and I continue to reiterate on our conversations. There was a time not too long ago where we were begging for people to believe us. Like this was not a made up thing. This was an honest to goodness 21st century genocide happening. It wasn't, and let's not wait until it's in the history book. So, by the grace of God, now we are giving them more information. We're showing more footage. Just a couple of days ago, the footage that of our 30 plus, fallen uh, fellow Tagaru, that the massacre when they were on the ground, that really I think broke most of us, and we continue to heal. But that in itself has been published by credible foreign press, AFP. I heard Christina Amanpour reporting. I mean, this is a dream in terms of, unfortunately, we need them to validate, but they now are doing imaging sequences that shows where exactly it's happening. Yes, Western Tigray. Yes, northern part of the country. So this is what we can take away from that. And just to mention, you mentioned, and rightfully so, it's in my heart, and you guys know when it's in our hearts, we are compelled to speak it because we know where it comes from. For those of us who are entering with heavy hearts, feeling like you're feeling like your conversation with God is not the same that it used to be. Maybe you're feeling like God has abandoned us, or maybe you're feeling heavy-hearted. God says to let that go and just commune. Let's just commune with God, and let's just let's just allow ourselves to be human because He never abandons us, and it is us. We are the ones who are in and out of this really important relationship with Him, but He never leaves us out. So just wanted to say that.
Yeah, and just to liberate those of us and those of you that can't right now and don't want to share. Like it's very the only reason why I brought it's a private thing. It's between
We're
it's a
speaking in general. Yes.
yeah. So if you are on a journey and it's not it's not a journey that path that you're on, please, you are completely okay. Like please eat, please drink, and take care of yourself. And God knows, God is not, He is not blind. And I love, Helena, what you said. People are rising up. They're realizing now, even though it's too many have died, too many have died in the meantime. And you know, we just we just press forward. But as we press forward, we have to remember that we are we have to take care of ourselves. We'll go. It's not going to help my mom. It's not going to help my family if I go crazy with what's going on. If I can't get out of bed. I have students who are going through war right now in Myanmar. If they see me unable to go through this time, what are they learning?
Right.
What are our children learning? So in the only way I can do, and when I'm not okay, I need to go to my sister and say, Helena, like I'm really struggling right now.
That's right.
This is really, really hard. I'm experiencing this. I have to ask for help. My colleagues at work, they know what's happening. They know about Tigray, and they love me. And so when they're helping pick, I am doing my job. I'm working hard, but when I am not able to be present the way I need to be present, they have my back.
Thank God for that.
So we are we need to be able to be a light and to be present by being honest in all of our spaces. And for those of us in Tigray, like you are our heroes. We love you so much. We are praying for you. We're advocating for you. We are with you.
Not a moment, not one moment of our lives goes by without thinking of you. We may not know your names, but so I want to get to some of these questions. Someone asked if I can put how to reach me. This is how. The banner scrolling by has Mehret's at Mehreta. And please check out the story. As you mentioned, there's something there. Let me just stop this one so you can see that. Question. Thank you all. Thank you for being with us this hour, and thank you for your questions. A lot of people saying thank you for having this hour. We're appreciative of you. I so appreciate your heart and courage, Mehret. Thanks for sharing your story and that of your beloved people. This helps inform folks how to pray, how to come alongside, how to deal with our own trauma. Jennifer, thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for joining us. That's wonderful. Tama says, I'm from Tigray, but I live in Ireland. I love my people, Tigray. We love you. We've never been closer as a community than right now. So if there's anything to take away, there's that. And we, alongside with our allies like Jennifer, will ensure that never again is not just a promise, but something that we make sure that we do. Thank you. Thank you to you and to our community healer, educator, coach, Mar. Thank you, Mar. You got all of it right. Do what you like. Sorry. Please leave us. Okay. Okay. When this end, how can we support the people that went through the trauma? Zimba, great question. Part of the reason we are advocating self-care right now, and whatever it looks like for you, is so that you are solid enough to be able to help those that come out of it, whether they're back home or as they continue to come here. And Mehretwa, if you want to say a brief thing about that, I would love for that.
Yeah, just stay connected to them. You know, I'm thinking about I'm thinking about the calling card I have not yet bought that I need to buy, and just call my cousins and be with them and just say, Adjohum, we love you. And that gives so much light and love, because sometimes that's all we need to keep that light and lamp going. And then just take the step of faith. Doors open as you move forward in love and in faith and healing. Doors open. God is opening doors. There's so much darkness, but there is light pouring in. Look for the light. Look for the helpers. Be the light. Be the helpers. And
This is not our future. This is a moment in time. It's a horrific moment in time. But you're right. Be the helpers. Be the light. And look for the helpers if you are in the situation where you need the helper. So, and they're closer than you think. Mar, also, I just have to say this out loud because a lot of us, this is in our hearts. I don't know if we can forgive, especially if we can forgive the Eritrean and Amhara who were massacring our people. You're right. We don't know. We pray. We continue to work on it. That is a whole conversation unto itself. And I want to do it justice. So I'm going to just, Mehret, you will be back with us. Just say yes. Say yes, 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 you will be. So that's, I want to get to a couple more of these. Meron Mesfin says, Salam, welcome ladies. Thank you everyone for being here. Yes, please, let's not forget to tweet. Let's not forget the platform that is allowing us so much press, so much well-needed press all around the world. And also, let's remember, you don't have to be in media to know the news cycle is very brief. So we have to capitalize, so to speak, on while we still have everyone's attention by continuing to advocate. Okay, and going through some of these, sisters, thank you. I know it's slow, but it's very important to take care of ourselves. Yes, Aman, you're right. Aman says, very important to take care of ourselves. Amen. Right, Mehret, thank you for being candid. Thank you for your generosity in your story. Aya, this is much needed. Thank you so much. And there's so much more. I will be sure tonight when the baby goes to sleep to go through. And Mehret, I invite you also on the Facebook. We'll be able to respond to some of these, to all of these, as many as we can. Some
Absolutely.
IG, okay, those, okay. Yeah, and like any other platform, those of you, the 3 or 4 people who want to come and troll, we really pray that you also got what you needed, because you're here to troll, but you stayed because you needed to get what you needed to get. And honestly, we don't know what the heck it is that you're protesting, because right now it's about the humanitarian aspect of this, and continuing to say what happened the last 27 years. Nobody is trying to lessen or whatever it is that you feel you've experienced. And it's just within my heart to say, when people say that, it's deflecting what's happening right now, right? So it may seem like to you it's as important, and to us it seems like this is important. So we can agree to disagree. But please understand, when you're going to protest right this very minute, the only thing you're protesting is that 4.5 million people and above not get aid, not get food, that they are emaciated until the point of starvation and death. Please know you are protesting the fact that there's so much to say, but I just don't want to trigger in trying to make a point to you. I don't want to trigger our community. And believe it or not, you're part of our greater human community. So please search your heart, because this is a season of fasting. I will approach it from this way. Search your heart from the human aspect. Search your heart and know that at some point that probably was you. That probably was a member of your family. So I'll just leave it there. I know, Zimba, we should block them, but I really believe it's only a few, but they stayed because they needed to get something, and God will direct them to that. A few announcements, and then unfortunately we have to close. Please, family, remember on the 25th of March, just in a week or so, on the 25th of March, we have, this month, we have our national protest in Washington, D.C. Everybody's been showing up so spectacularly. Yesterday, it was an amazing march in protest in Hollywood, on Hollywood Boulevard in LA. Tagaros shut it down. People from San Diego, people from Las Vegas. Thank you so much for committing, continuing to show up for our families, for our Tigray. So on the 25th in Washington, D.C., on the 26th, just north in New York, the first national protest in New York went well. We're going to continue to show up, especially now, especially while we're in the news, and really making sure that just no more bodies, no more deaths, no more killings, no more starvation, no more rapes, none of that. This is not what God intends for us. This is not the life that God intends for any of us. So the 25th in DC, the 26th in New York. I want to continue to remind everyone on Instagram, Tagaru Events, at Tagaru Events on Instagram. Also, I've put my contact. We have an Instagram page coming for this program here, where we'll be able to give you more information. Mehret, we've had her Instagram on there. Check out the story, and also reach out for questions and things of that nature. Things that you might specifically want us to speak to on the program, please let us know. March 27th, I want to especially bring your attention to HPN for Tigray, Health Professional Network for Tigray, the one with the doctors, as my little cousin says, the one with the doctors. So we continue to reach out to our Tigray community within the camps in Sudan. In 2 weeks, there is someone in the greater diaspora going to Sudan. So she's asking that we help provide sanitary pads, reusable ones, for our young women and young ladies in the camps. This is a very important project. HPN was blessed enough through community donations to send almost, actually 3,000 plus in the past. It's important, right? Reusable pads. This is really important because our culture also, like Mehret said, leaving without the shoes on your feet. Imagine during the time of the month where women need pads, and also think about women who've just given birth and are susceptible to infections, and they need that extra layer, that extra protection. Even though Sudan is a hot country, weather-wise, the nights are cold. If you were in the refugee camps with some of us, if you're in Khartoum with some of us, you will remember the nights get cold and rainy season is coming up. But it's also important because when the women are waiting till late night to change their pads to take care of that situation, they're susceptible and leaving themselves open to gender-based violence. So just think about that, and please help in any way you can. I will have a link to the Amazon page, and you will just be able to buy it and ship it, and it will go straight to the person who's leaving in 2 weeks. You have 2 weeks, and she'll be able to take it along with her group. There's that. Final announcement for right now. And again, if you go to my Instagram, I continue throughout the week to have these announcements. I am putting together for these 2 weeks. I will continue, but when God speaks to you, you have to show up. We have to show. That's all we are. Our mouthpieces for God's work, right? So we wake up and we pray. God uses us in however way for our community and our greater human community. So a new project, it's going to be called Naina, because Natna Yom, for the children. If you can have your children, your nieces, your nephews, yourself, construction paper, fold it in half, we're going to make cards for kids in the refugee camps. Yes? I see that beautiful smile on your face. Yes? Yes. So I know. There are people who are committing to taking steps. We want to tell them we love you. We miss you. I don't know your name, but I'm thinking about you. And the crazy thing is, when we first came from Khartoum, when we got our paperwork and came here, my international school teacher put my class together with pen pals. And we used to get pen pals that used to write to us. And I remember feeling so special. As a child, it didn't even occur to me, you don't know me, man. Why are you writing? It didn't occur to me. You just want something that you can call yours. So the more we can make of those cards, that will ensure each child can possibly have their own. You can make them full sheets. You can make them quarter sheets. I will make them with my son and my family members, and we'll post. And please just get at me at Helena Now on Instagram, or if you're on Mehreta, and tell her to reach me, so you can. I'll share with you where you can send them. But let's crack on. Let's get cracking, right? Let's share with everybody. And art therapy is actually something for everyone, not just for the kids, for the adults as well. So after you're tweeting and all that, this is an activity we can do. You can Zoom with the Paul, right? Mehret, I heard you mentioning a niece, nephew. We can Zoom, have this activity with you and your young ones, and right. So why not?
And I'm going to do it with all of my students. I'm going to invite my whole school, my whole district. We're going to send cards.
That's what I want to hear. Let's invite our schools. Let's invite our schools.
These are the little, it's moments like this. It's nuggets like this that keep us going, that shine that light, that give us hope. And thank you for being a light, Helena. Thank you for being a helper. Thank you for shining so bright. And we just, we see everything that's happening in the chat. We just bless all of you. And we know the time will come that this will not be the voices that we see and hear. We know we are rising up. And so I just want to thank you, Helena, for your light, for your love. And thank you to all of you for this, for your time, this precious time with us. I want to invite everyone, if you follow my Instagram, you can send me a message and I will give you the Zoom link for the community session on Thursdays. There's another one on Sundays. There are several across the nation. So we want to be knit together during this time. We love you.
We love you so much. Couldn't have said it any better. We've both provided ways you can reach us. It's not that hard. I want to continue to remind you the best within us, within our community. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention HPN is also doing an insulin drive, $3 for insulin. Imagine, there's no need for our people to not have insulin, those with diabetes, those who need to stabilize it. That is also a need. So imagine $3 saving lives. That's pretty incredible, a gift within itself. We love you. We love you. If you haven't heard it today, you're right. We love you so much. We love you so much. I hope you hear that. I hope you take it in. I hope you know that comes from like insides. And as we close every time we do this program, because really we know it's the truth, Tigray will prevail. So please remember that and remind yourself that. Thank you, Mehret. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Helena. I love you, sister.
I love you too, sister. Thank you.